Hey, what's good, my people? My name is TL, and I am broadcasting for the very first time in living color from my patio on a warm summer day in the greatest city in the world, minus the politicians, Chicago. And I apologize in advance for any background noise that you might hear. I am out in nature. You will hear nature, and you also hear my air conditioning. It's hot. So, this podcast is called The Level Ledger. This is the very first episode. This is coming into you unscripted, unedited, so you will get the bloopers. As you can see, I got my cigar, I got my libations. Thank you, Sister Alma. If you know, you know. And yeah, first edition. This is what the podcast is going to be about. Let me give a quick introduction. So, this is primarily, but not exclusively, going to be a political commentary podcast. And the reason why I'm making this podcast is one, I am a very strong person when it comes to the community. Put a pin in that real quick. The glasses. I'm not trying to disconnect with y'all or anything like that. I done lost every last pair of glasses I got except my last one. I'm gonna buy some more, but these are transitions. I'm in the sun. They gonna get dark. Ain't nothing I can do about that. But no, I don't think I'm too cool for school or nothing like that. Just wearing my transitions. Now, back to the intro. So I am very big into community. And the one thing I have learned in communities is you gotta talk. I mean, it's kind of ironic that, communication and community is pretty much the same word. And right now, there's not enough communication in the world. Like, we are not talking to each other at all. We're not having hard conversations with our neighbors, hard conversations, with our friends, hard conversations with our families. We're not even having hard conversations with our inner selves. And I just strongly believe that needs to change, and I'm going to be one of the ones to step out here. I like this type of platform because I am going to be coming from a very neutral space. People are not going to believe that. I can guarantee you the conservatives that will watch this show will think that I'm a bleeding heart liberal. The liberals that will watch this show will think that I'm the Trump supporting conservative. I am neither. I am right down the middle. I have been very fortunate in my time on this earth that I've had opportunities to meet people literally, very, very literally from all over the world. Like, I have been cool and have rocked with hard people from 6 out of the 7 continents. I don't know anybody from Antarctica because I don't think there's anybody from Antarctica. But everywhere else, Australia, Asia, Europe, South America, North America, Africa, I've had an opportunity to talk to and be cool with people from all over the world, which has increased my understanding as to different ideologies, different religions, different races, different cultures, different creeds. And it's one of the things that made me very neutral. I understand it from everybody's point of view. And I want to give it from my point of view because nobody's listening to anybody else's point of view. We've all made each other enemies. If you don't believe in the same God that I believe, you my enemy. If you don't vote in the same ballot box for the same candidate that I vote for, you're my enemy. And you can look around, especially with me being from Chicago, the United States, love my country, but you can see what it's doing to us. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you cannot possibly, within your soul or soul, be happy as to the state that this country is in. And ultimately into the state of the world that we are in. This is a mess. And it's mostly a mess because we just will not talk to each other. I don't know why. I would love to open up respectful dialogue. You could keep the disrespect, you could keep the trolling, you could, keep the keyboard warriors, and you could definitely keep the racists. Go find something to do with your life. This ain't the place, this ain't the time, this ain't the etiquette, this is none of that. I'm not going to tolerate it. This is supposed to be a positive thing. We can disagree and still disagree civilly. We could disagree and still be cool with each other. I disagree with just about everybody. And I agree with just about everybody. It doesn't change my relationship with anybody. I've got really close and best friends that are very staunch, strict, conservative. And I have friends, best friends, excuse me, my nose is itching. Sorry. And I have best friends. Ooh, it ain't go away. Sorry. And I got really close and best friends that are darn near just shy of being communist type liberals. It don't affect my relationship with them. It shouldn't affect your relationship with them. We could all be civil to each other. We could agree to disagree. We could politely disagree. We could say, hey, that's you. This is me. So ultimately, I would really like to bridge that gap. Like I said, my name is TL. Y'all can talk to me about anything. Just leave it in the comments. Let's get some dialogues going. And let's have some uncomfortable conversations. I was really struggling as to how I was going to start this podcast off because I really didn't want to start it like super controversial. But unfortunately, it's just the state of the world. I can't think of a topic right now that's not super controversial. Like, this country is ran by the president, and the president is Donald Trump, and whether you're for Trump or you're against Trump, he is controversial. Now, complete disclaimer. I am against Trump. But before you conservatives click off, I'm also against Joe Biden. I did not like Joe Biden. I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris. And I have reasons for all of these things. I just also don't like Donald Trump. And in Chicago, I haven't liked the mayor since Harold Washington was murdered. I'm sorry, since he died. So, I stand right along the political fences. It's rare for me to find a political candidate that I actually like. There's a few that I can tolerate, but most of them I'm not a huge fan because I just don't believe that they're doing anything really for the people, that they're doing things for the vote, and I just don't respect that. But might as well go ahead and get on it. The reasons why I'm not a big Trump fan, but I mean, other than the obvious. One, when you admit to sexually assaulting women, that's a deal breaker for me. That's a deal breaker from anybody for me. That's a deal breaker. Anybody. I don't care if I liked you. Once, you admit to that, yeah, we're not gonna be cool. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that I've lost respect for because it come to find out that you dabbled with children, and that should. I am really surprised as to how many people that's not a deal breaker for. There's still people that rock with Trump, even though they know what he's done. That still rock with R. Kelly, even though they know what he's done. And many others, even though you know what they've done. Am I saying that, you should be throwing CDs in the trash and never listen to again? Nah, I'm not saying that. But should you be supporting them? I definitely disagree with that. I can't support you, which is one reason why I'm not naming too many names, because I just don't want to add to your fame in any way, form, or fashion. I don't. Once I know that you diddle with kids, we're good on that. But that's one reason why I don't like Trump. I know a lot of people don't believe that he is a racist. Uh-oh. There's that. Hey, it is what it is. I live in Chicago. So if y'all heard that dude going down the street with his sounds bumping, you might still be able to hear it. Apologize about that, even though it ain't my fault. It's what they do here. But, I know a lot of people don't want to believe it or admit it, but, Donald Trump is a racist. And on a sly tip, I really understand and respect why some people don't feel like he is, because I would tell everybody this. Yeah, dude, really gonna sit there by the light, huh? Okay. But I will tell people this, that there's only two things that know crocodile infested waters as soon as they see it. And that's crocodiles and the prey of crocodiles. I don't really expect for people that are neutral in the game, that have no stake in the game, to really be able to spot the little subtle racist stuff that happens. So in a way, I kind of respect that you don't see it if you being honest and truthful about it. You know, you got those that are lying. They completely see it. They just lying about it. But if you really don't see it, I kind of respect it. Because racism is very subtle now. It's extremely subtle. Let me give you a case of... Oh, and I'll tell you this. Not only is it subtle, it makes perfect sense. This is what I mean. Don't jump the gun. So, when Barack Obama was first running for his first term, I forgot what politician it was, but he said something that on the surface made so much sense, and you would swear it's not a racist comment. He said, people that vote for somebody solely because they're black is just as racist as not voting for somebody solely because they're black. On the surface, that makes a whole lot of sense. That is a racist ass statement. This is why. Everybody on the face of this earth wants their children and grandchildren to be able to reach the highest goal attainable. And the highest goal attainable is currently is the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. So if you think that regardless on what side of the aisle he sat on, if the first Japanese American won the nomination and he was going head to head to be the first Japanese American president, if you don't think that Japanese America would not forget about their political ideologies and vote for that man, not necessarily because they like that guy. I mean, unless they felt like he was going to destroy the country. As long as you don't feel like he's going to destroy the country, it's about your kids. It's about your grandkids. Because if that guy can make it, you can make it. If you don't think that a Mexican American won the nomination to be the first Mexican American president, that Mexican Americans everywhere are not going to vote for that guy, of course they are. They'd be crazy not to. Why? Because if that guy can make it, all of them can make it. Why is it different for us? That's the racist part. Why are we of the standard to where we are not allowed to support our own, even though you claim you want us to support our own? But if we do support our own, when we vote 95% for Barack Obama, now we're being like these reverse racists. No. Once Barack Obama crossed that line, he made it possible for all of our children to cross that line. His win was not even just a win for black people. It was a win for Asian people. It was a win for Indonesian people. It was a win for, Latin people. Because if that guy can win it, he set the bar that absolutely anybody can win the presidency. It took the top off. Which sadly is why there's so much chaos in the United States right now, because there are people out there that when that happened, they lost their rabbit minds. And their minds are still gone. This man has been out of office for 10 years now? And they are still bringing his name up, still saying, oh man, all of our problems are because of Barack Hussein Obama. Nothing happened. We're still the same country. But there's a reason why they blame Obama. And I'm going to tell you the truth. They're right. In a way, it is Obama's fault. See, these are the uncomfortable conversations that we're going to get into. Let me break it down before people crucify me in the comments as to why I say, in a way. That's the key words, in a way. It is Barack Obama's fault. To understand that, you have to understand Trump supporters. First of all, you have to understand that not all Trump supporters are the same. They're kind of like the bourbon whiskey of the world. You know how, well, some of y'all might not know, but generally, all bourbons are whiskey, but not all whiskeys are bourbon. See, all MAGA are Trump supporters, but not all Trump supporters are MAGA. There is a difference. Let's get into the difference. The difference is, number one, the very first group. Easiest group of Trump supporters to understand. He makes some money. It's that simple. I had a very good friend of mine tell me that the first time Trump won. He was like, I really don't like Donald Trump, but he makes me money, so I gotta vote for him. Completely understand that. Elon Musk, can't stand Donald Trump. That's why they stay into it. But for a minute, he made that man the world's first trillionaire. You don't think he's going to stand up there next to him? Of course he is. He makes some people money. He makes corporations money. Lots of money. Kills small businesses, like my small business, he killing it, which is another reason I don't like him. He's driving me into bankruptcy. But, that's the easiest thing to understand, and I will never tell somebody where or how, as long as it's legal, they should be getting their money. How you get your money and what you can live with is how you get your money and what you can live with. Since I'm not paying your bills, I have no opinion on the matter. Second type of Trump supporter. People that vote party. And that's the overwhelming majority. People who vote Republican are going to vote Republican no matter who's in office. Who's the nominee. People that vote Democrat are going to vote Democrat no matter who's the nominee. Case in point, Kamala Harris. When Biden first ran for office and they did their primary, Kamala Harris was the very first one voted off the stage. They didn't like her until she became the nominee. Then they like her. Republicans do the same thing. Especially his first term, nobody liked Donald Trump. That dude got blasted on Republican radio, on Rush Limbaugh, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson. They all trashed that man. Fox News trashed that man until he became the nominee. Now they love him. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. People are going to vote party whether you agree with it or not, which is another reason why I'm neutral. I don't vote party. I vote person. But most people are going to vote party. And the one thing that you cannot ever get mad at, sorry about that, y'all. Something was trying to get in my libations. Thank you, Sister Alma. If you know, you know. But people are going to vote, party. And you cannot get mad at consistency. That's one of my token sayings. I will never get mad at consistency. Once you show me how you are, why would I ever get mad? And I accepted you then. Why would I get mad because you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing the whole time? Can't get mad at consistency. So I'm not mad at people that vote party. Not on either side of the aisle. Now, it's the third one. This is the one that's dangerous. This is the one that's going to, strike a chord in a lot of people, and I'm sure people are going to want to come for me for this one, but the only thing that I can give you is the truth. And this is the truth. The third type of Trump supporter is the true MAGA. The Make America Great Again. The most important word is again. So I hear a lot of people that always talk about, when was America great? And nobody could come up with an answer. And, America was never great. It was only great for certain people. No. That's true. It was only great for certain people. But the United States did have a golden era. A golden age. And that golden age was 1937 to 1957. Just come out from underneath the Depression. Was leading the world economically. The Industrial Revolution happened. Became... the heroes of World War II. Industry was booming. And even, white people's gangbanging kids were just misunderstood use. Rebels without a cause. Everything was cushy back then because everybody was in their place. Whites was in suburbia. Latins and blacks were in their respective neighborhoods, and the women were Stepford wives. White Protestant men had the greatest time in the history of the world between 1937 and 1957, minus the ones that went to war and died. But the ones that came back, life couldn't have been too much better. They were heroes. I really like using movie references to illustrate my point because movies that people seen just helps people. The movie reference that I'm going to use is most of us have by now have seen the Chernobyl series. And if you haven't seen the Chernobyl series on HBO, what you waiting on? Unless you don't have HBO, go over somebody's house that's got HBO. Watch that series. Sorry, low flying play. Hey, look, I live in a major city. All right, noise is gonna happen. I'm sorry if people getting irritated with the noise. I'm sure most of you all understand. For those that don't understand, I live in a major city, and it's nice outside. I'm doing this outside. So, the Chernobyl series. If you haven't seen it, you don't have HBO, go over somebody's house that's got HBO. Watch that series. It's a very, very good series. About 70% accurate. That same car, y'all. Oh, no wonder why they laugh. It's not a car. It's one of them doggone motorized go-karts. Slingshots. Yeah, I ride motorcycles. To y'all slingshot owners, it's a go-kart to me. Don't take it personal. But anyway, so in the Chernobyl series, don't worry, y'all. I'm not really gonna spoil it. I mean, everybody by now knows that the nuclear reactor blew up. But in that reactor, they had a button called the AZ-5 button. We are all familiar with the AZ-5 button. I'm not going into anything else about the AZ-5 button other than the fact that it's supposed to stop the reactor cold dead. If you go back and you watch a lot of the civil rights movement when they're interviewing white people that was against integration and you listen to them, just keep this in the back of your head while you listen to them. There was one in particular. I haven't had a chance to try to go back and find it. I'm sure it's buried somewhere. But if you do run across it, it's the white lady who at the end of the thing says, what did she say? Oh, we have some mighty fine darkies around here. Because she was basically talking about how, sorry, books. She was going around talking about how everybody had their own place. But this is the part that hit. Where she says, and some of them are getting some ideas, and that's okay. That's progress. You know why she said it like that? Yo. Because everybody knows that the status quo back there could not be the status quo forever. That progress was going to happen. That change was going to happen. And that rights was going to be extended to people who at one point in time had none. And she and people like her, for the most part, were okay with it, even though it scared them to death. Because in their pocket, they had an AZ-5 button. Once black people and Latin people and all these other minorities rose to way too much power, and it seemed like they was going to take over, they could hit that AZ-5 button to shut the reactor down. The AZ-5 button was the presidency. The president could always shut it down. See, they cared but didn't care how many senators it was. They didn't care how many judges it was or how many representatives it was. Because if push came to shove, the AZ-5 button, the president would shut it down once the power got too high. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of people that are terrified that black people want revenge for what was done to them. And no matter how many times we say it, no matter how many years go by that we don't do anything, no matter how many people we have in office that don't do anything, no matter how many times we scream it from the top of our lungs, we just want you to leave us alone. We don't want revenge. They cannot believe that. Know why? Because the shoe was on the other foot and we did that to them? Oh, it'll be the end of the Hunger Games. Oh, yeah. Very first thing they did at the end of the Hunger Games. Now, this is a spoiler. Very first thing they did at the end of the Hunger Games was, no, we're going to put them in the Hunger Games now. We want our revenge. So because they would want revenge if it was them so badly, they cannot believe that we don't. And so, they live this life in fear, but confidence at the same time, because they always had the AZ-5 button that would shut it all down until Barack Obama won. You got to understand, their AZ-5 button was gone, at least in their minds. This is why they lost their crap. Y'all remember, it got bad. They freaked out. And they held on to that, even though, so much slander going up against Obama. He gonna do this, he gonna do that, he gonna bring in Sharia law, he gonna put in white slavery, none of that happened. And here it is, 10 years later, the trauma from losing their AZ-5 button was so intense that 10 years later, they still think it's gonna happen. They still believe that Barack Obama has some type of power or influence over the black community, and he could rile us up. No matter how many years go by, and we say we don't want revenge, they cannot believe it. And understand, they know that there was nothing worse than chattel slavery. There's a reason why the entire world, with the exception of the United States and Argentina, voted and agreed that chattel slavery in the transatlantic slave trade was the greatest atrocity in mankind. Even though there were tons of other slaves, everybody has been enslaved at one point in time or another. But nothing was like that chattel slavery, and they know it. And nothing would be worse to them than having chattel slavery inflicted on them. So they wanted their AZ-5 button back. And here comes Donald Trump. We're going to make America great again. And he rolled back everything that Obama did, whether it was good or bad. He rolled it all back. He tried to get rid of Obama's name. He tried, he went after Latinos to put them in check. He went after the blacks to put them in check. And those MAGA, the true MAGA, they loved every minute of it. Because he was the AZ-5 button that just got pushed. To put the order back in everything. To put people back where they belong. To give women rights, but not, come on, you're still just a girl. To give blacks rights, but come on, you're just an N-word. To give Latins rights, but only if you assimilate and you obey us. Hitting the AZ-5 button in Chernobyl would shut the reactor down. It would ultimately destroy the reactor to the point where it would need to be repaired for a while. Businesses would have to close up because they wouldn't be getting the power that they needed. People would be out of work. All that stuff. It would be a catastrophe to hit that AZ-5 button. But it was better than the reactor exploding. So when you say, can't people see what Trump is doing? Oh yeah, they see it. A lot of them don't even agree with it, which is why Trump's poll numbers are at an all-time low. Yes, us not being a global superpower anymore and having a broke economy and a new recession, all that would be horrible. But it's better than white slavery. Now, a lot of people will disagree with what I just said. A lot of people say, it sounds a little conspiracy theory to me. A lot of people will 100% agree. The only thing that I ask, you can definitely disagree. That's more than fine. In fact, I encourage discourse as long as it's respectful. But just keep it in the back of your head. Don't even bring it to the front. Just keep it in the back of your head when you watch the news, when you listen to Fox, and when you watch how Donald Trump moves. You'll understand. He's their AZ-5 button. And that's why they say, this is what I voted for. It is. Thanks for tuning in to the very first show. Hope I didn't bore y'all. Hope this wasn't a hot mess. I'm doing the best I can. You know, I plan on improving as this goes on. I will get better. Hope y'all tuned in. Hope y'all liked the show. And I will see you next time. Peace.